And welcome back to the entire crypto fam. In today's show, I'll be breaking down the latest technical analysis as well as the Bitcoin builders of 2023 as Bitcoin and proof of stake have a natural synergy. We'll also be discussing Grayscale and Bitwise distance themselves from Ethereum futures ETF plans. That's right, Grayscale stopped its Ethereum futures ETF plans after a warning from the SEC, while Bitwise amended its SEC filing to halt any launch of Ether ETF products. Also in today's show, billionaire Paul Tudor Jones says he is sticking with Bitcoin and calls Bitcoin his longest bet. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin alone deserves non-security status, says Max Keiser backing the SEC chairman's view. Gary Gensler quoting him here. Gary's right. Everything not Bitcoin is a security, including ETH and XRP. We already put this into law in El Salvador. We are Bitcoin country and we are thriving. I invite Gary to come to El Salvador to see how we became the leading Bitcoin country in the world. Also in today's show, billions of dollars to flow into Bitcoin as Tether announces up to 15% of their profits will go into BTC. Max Keiser's response: it's just math. Tether put a floor on the Bitcoin price. Saylor is also doing a good job. He also goes on to share that the new king of Bitcoin is Tether and that Saylor had a great run. Long live the new king. He also says Tether is now the only reliable buyer of billions of U.S. treasuries. U.S. politicians do a lot of stupid things, but I doubt they would try and kill the gravy train, keeping them afloat. That is Tether. And he also says Tether is more than 100% backed. They are one of the most profitable companies in the world, definitely the most profitable financial on earth, and they are true Bitcoiners, and all the FUD about them was brought by scammer USDC. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this plus so much more in today's show. Welcome everyone tuning in. This is pod episode number 1285. I'm your host, JV, and today is May 18th, 2023. Let's start with the market watch. We're finally back in the green with Bitcoin hovering above $27,000 for the day, up 0.5%. We also have Ether up 0.25%, trading back above $1,800. We have XRP up 5%, trading above 46 cents, and BNB up 0.3%, trading at $311. And checking out coinmarketcap.com, the current crypto market cap sitting just above $1.1 trillion with about 32 billion in volume in the past 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance at 46.4% and the Ether dominance at 19.3%. And checking out the top 100 crypto gainers in the past 24 hours, Render token up 15.5%, trading at $2.35, followed by Mask up about 12%, trading at $4.64, followed by Synthetics up 7.6%, trading at $2.34. And checking out the top 100 crypto gainers for the past week, the top two are RNDR up 15% and Hex up 14%, and the majority in the green and pumping. And checking out the Crypto Greed and Fear Index, we're currently rated a 51, which is neutral. Yesterday was a 50, last week a 52, and last month a 58 in greed. So there you have it. And now let's dive into today's Bitcoin technical analysis. Check out the charts and what's popping for the King Crypto, and welcome again to everyone just tuning in. Let's go. The price of Bitcoin was a little changed on May 18th compared to yesterday's daily close as traders awaited for more clarity on the looming debt crisis in the U.S. Now on May 17th, we had Sleepy Joe expressing his confidence in ending the standoff with Republicans to avoid a default, which boosted market sentiment with Bitcoin rising 1.5% shortly after, reaching over 27,400 on the day, which you can see here on the Bitcoin daily price chart. The Bitcoin's recovery may have also gained a momentum on Tether, announcing it will deploy 15% of its monthly operational profits to buy Bitcoin, which I'll be breaking down in greater details later on in the show. But overall, the price of Bitcoin is up 65% year to date. Not too shabby. So congrats to all the Bitcoin hodlers, but still down 60% from its record high of 69,000, which we eclipsed back in November of 2021. Now, Bitcoin risked dropping in May thanks to a flurry of strong U.S. economic data earlier in the week. This puts June's interest rate hike back on the map. For instance, after 2 flat months, the country's industrial output jumped 0.5% in April, beating expectations of 0.1% growth. Meanwhile, retail sales increased by 0.4% in April after 0.7% decrease the previous month. This suggests that consumers' spending held up despite facing economic headwind, and the prospects for another rate hike lifted U.S. Treasury yields, which in turn boosted appetite for the U.S. dollar. Now, Bitcoin, which typically trades inversely to the greenback, will be in danger if the dollar strength index enters a bullish phase. I think that's unlikely, but what are your guys' thoughts? Bitcoin price chart Technicals are likewise painting a bearish target of 25,000, an important psychological price level by June. The bears will argue that Bitcoin faces strong selling pressure from its 50-day exponential moving average, which we can see here in the red wave, currently sitting at 27,670. Now a pullback from their positions, and Bitcoin for a drop towards its 200-day exponential moving average, which is the blue wave, near 24,860. And conversely, a move above Bitcoin's 50-day exponential moving average would invalidate the bearish setup, while setting the Bitcoin price on course towards 30,000 by June. So there you have it. Are you currently bearish short-term or bullish for the King Crypto? Let me know in the comments right down below. And now let's discuss our next story of the day, and that's Bitcoin as a proof of stake and the natural synergy between Bitcoin and proof of stake and Bitcoin builders. Less than a year after the proof of stake became the consensus mechanism for the Ethereum blockchain, the industry's largest blockchain network, researchers have found that proof of stake can complement Bitcoin. Well, we all know that Ethereum switched from like the same as the Bitcoin protocol with proof of work to a proof of stake. Now we have Stanford University professor who shares that the 2023 Bitcoin Builders Conference in Miami about his team's findings on Bitcoin proof of stake security and energy consumption. He facilitates a research lab specializing in blockchain consensus protocols for the University of California. Quoting him here, Bitcoin was like our first love, he said, through this deep understanding of Bitcoin and then understanding of proof of stake protocols. He continued to say that his team found a very natural synergy between the two. Interesting. By building an extra layer of protocol that shares the security between Bitcoin and proof of stake, we find it will become very strong, giving you a very strong security property. Now, he pointed out on his own that proof of stake blockchain has two major limitations. Due to it being based on proof of stake or capital, it's hard to start a new blockchain due to the need to attract stakers. He said if you don't have the capital, you don't have enough security. And in addition to security and capital being intertwined, the professor highlighted the security is what he calls short range on proof of stake, whereas Bitcoin is the opposite with stronger long range security, making them the perfect complement to each other. He wants it so that people can build distributed ledger applications in a more simple way. Quoting him again, security is very important, but instead of everyone trying to fragment and compete for limited capital, take capital from a huge reservoir, which is Bitcoin, and use it as an economic security for all these chains. In such a method, the developer envisions being able to focus on building an application, which is the core purpose of creating a blockchain network, rather than on recruiting to stake to secure the chain. And one of the major pushbacks towards building on Bitcoin and proof of work systems in general has been the energy consumption associated with such protocols. I personally think that is nothing more than mainstream FUD, but what do you expect coming from universities with these professors? But hey, you guys let me know. He believes the important thing is to not only look at the energy being consumed, but the why behind the consumption. Quoting him again, without energy, there is no security, and without security, there is no value. In some sense, what we are doing right now from a technology point of view is to make higher value use of that energy. He also highlighted security as one of Bitcoin's most valuable assets and pointed to new projects like Bitcoin Ordinals leveraging that security. Quoting him here, what makes Ordinals interesting on Bitcoin as opposed to any other platform is that they are building on the most secure blockchain in the world. And recently, as we all know, the Bitcoin NFTs have been sweeping through the crypto space, causing congestion on the Bitcoin blockchain. And yesterday I proposed a solution for that, as we discussed in the show. But nonetheless, fam, now let's discuss the latest with Grayscale and Bitwise, basically moving away from doing anything with Ether-related futures ETFs. Let's break this down, and then we'll dive into Paul Tudor Jones' Bitcoin bet. Then we'll be discussing Bitcoin as a non-security, as well as the latest with Tether, USDT, and Max Keiser's thoughts on all of that. So check this out. Bitwise Asset Management and Grayscale have halted their Ether futures exchange-traded fund plans, which are ETFs, amid growing scrutiny from U.S. regulators. So thank the regulators. On May 17th, Grayscale filed an amendment to its Securities and Exchange Commission, filing to remove mentions of an Ether futures ETF. The amendment comes less than a week after sharing plans to launch a trio of ETF products, the other two flagship products inside the semi-spot Bitcoin ETF that would invest in the spot Bitcoin market, and a privacy ETF focused on investing in privacy-focused blockchain companies and digital assets. As Eric Balchunas points out here, Grayscale just filed for a semi-spot Bitcoin ETF, as well as an Ethereum futures ETF and a privacy ETF. Interesting. And this was dated back on May 9th, so that was virtually last week. Now, Grayscale's amendment to its ETF filing came just days after the SEC asked the asset manager to put its application for a Filecoin trust. The regulatory body warned that its underlying asset Filecoin qualifies as a security. That's right. And Balchunas, quoting him again, SEC tells Grayscale to withdraw the Ether futures ETF filing. Watch for the rest to follow suit. Deja vu. All over again. You can say that again. Grayscale responded to the SEC's accusation, claiming that the underlying asset does not qualify as a security, and the firm intends to respond promptly to the SEC staff with an explanation of the legal basis for the Grayscale position. Meanwhile, Bitwise, on the other hand, withdrawn its application to launch an ETH-based futures ETF altogether. In its amendment filing with the SEC yesterday on May 17th, the crypto asset manager claimed that it doesn't intend to seek effectiveness of the fund, and no securities of the funds was sold or will be sold pursuant to the above-mentioned post-effective amendment to the trust's registration statement. Bitwise didn't respond to comments from Cointelegraph, but a Bitcoin-based futures ETF did debut last quarter of 2021, making many in the crypto industry to believe that a spot crypto ETF is on the way. However, after 2 years and a barrage of crypto carnages in 2022, regulators have grown more skeptical of such products, and I think this is all by design. The million-dollar question which comes into play: when will we get a spot Bitcoin ETF in the United States? It's long overdue. And why would the regulators allow Bitcoin futures ETFs in the United States, but not a spot Bitcoin ETF, knowing that the futures ETFs can be manipulated? It just makes no sense. The only sense it makes is they're trying to withhold from the massive institutional adoption with trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines just awaiting to be poured into the king crypto. It is what it is. So, I hope that the SEC can finally approve a spot Bitcoin ETF, but I'm not holding my breath anytime soon. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Now let's discuss the latest with billionaire Paul Tudor Jones. He says he has no plans to let go of his Bitcoin allocation despite the King Crypto's bearish price action over the past year. And shout out to Paul Tudor Jones. In a new CNBC interview, the legendary investor says the Bitcoin is by far his longest bet. Back in May of 2020, Tudor Jones revealed he had allocated 1% to 2% of his multi-billion-dollar portfolio into Bitcoin, and according to the billionaire, he will continue to hold on to his Bitcoin positions due to the Bitcoin unique value proposition. Quoting him here, "I have never sat on a horse that long from the beginning. I have always said I want to have a small allocation to Bitcoin because it's a great tail event. It is the only thing that humans can adjust the supply in, so I am sticking with it. I'm going to always stick with it. It is just a small diversification in my portfolio." Well, he should up that portfolio allocation, don't you think? Although Tudor Jones says he is keeping his minor Bitcoin allocation, the billionaire notes that he believes Bitcoin futures growth might be muted due to the current administration aggressive stance against the crypto industry. He also points out that the prospects of gold and Bitcoin might suffer, as he believes that inflation is about to cool off with the rise of AI. Quoting him again, "What do I think right now? I liked it last December. I'm looking at it with gold, and I think they have done so well recently because of the fact that we have these risk premiums. I wonder whether that may not be boring in the future. Bitcoin has a real problem because in the United States, you have the entire regulatory apparatus against it. So it is just yesterday's news. If inflation is truly done a bit, if that story has been played, then you have to wonder, we are buying gold and Bitcoin for the inflation hedges. That game may be over 6 months ago before AI, before the possible productivity boost that we'll get from it. I would have said a completely different story with regard to the inflationary future and with regard to the inflation hedges." So there you have it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with Paul Tudor Jones, and to watch this video interview he did, check the show notes below the video in the description. Now let's discuss the latest regarding the regulation of what's popping and regarding Max's stance, Bitcoin being a non-security. And I think that's the only clarity that we have from No Clarity Gary, that Bitcoin is not a security. So let's break this down, and let's start with Max's recent tweet. Gary is right. Everything not Bitcoin is a security, including Ethereum and XRP. We already put this law in El Salvador. We are Bitcoin country and we are thriving. I invite No Clarity Gary Gensler to El Salvador to come and see how we become the leading Bitcoin country in the world. So yeah, there you have it. Gensler stated that the crypto markets are generally non-compliant and built on a false narrative of decentralization, but Keiser's tweet echoed Gensler's sentiment, asserting that everything apart from Bitcoin, including major cryptos, ETH and XRP, should be classified as securities. Keiser also highlighted the successful implementation of Bitcoin as a legal tender in El Salvador, as I just recently pointed out. Now, Bruce Fenton, the CEO of Chainstone Labs and managing director of Watchdog Capital, added his perspective to the discussion, expressing his concerns about the restrictive nature of El Salvador's Bitcoin law. Fenton argued that Bitcoin's code is open source and intended to be copied and modified, pointing out the existence of over 1,500 forks. Oh my God, that many, including Litecoin. Now, Keiser responded by emphasizing that Bitcoin is the only currency that matters, dismissing other cryptos as ish coins and suggesting that the benefits they offer are dwarfed by the opportunities afforded by being a Bitcoin maximalist. Now, the conversation continued as Fenton proposed the possibility of amending the law, highlighting the freedom to replicate and modify code, and Keiser rebutted, emphasizing that El Salvador's Bitcoin-centric approach has proven immensely beneficial and that any diversion of resources towards other cryptos would be a waste of time. Quoting him here in regards to responding to Bruce, Max says Bitcoin is money, everything else is a security. This law gives El Salvador 100% of the benefits of Bitcoin and avoids wasting any resources whatsoever on anything, not Bitcoin, since nothing else offers anything we want that Bitcoin doesn't already offer, we don't want. So there you have it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with Max Keiser. And what are your thoughts surrounding the security laws? Do you think that Tether, oh, not Tether, my bad. Do you think that XRP, and what's the other one we're just discussing right here? And many of these altcoins alike, do you think, Ethereum, do you think they're going to be deemed securities by the regulators, or do you think some of them may get the green light along with Bitcoin, knowing at this current moment, Bitcoin is the only one with the green light? Let me know your thoughts on how you feel that is likely to play out. And now let's dive into our breaking story of the day, and that's what's happening with Tether USDT, which is big breaking news right now in the industry, and then we'll dive into some live Q&A. Tether, the world's biggest stablecoin issuer, says it will now direct as much as 15% of its profits into Bitcoin. In an official announcement, Tether, the firm behind USDT, says it will start plowing profits into Bitcoin, which it will self-custody to further strengthen its reserves. Quoting them here, starting this month, Tether will regularly allocate up to 15% of its net realized operating profits towards purchasing Bitcoin. Tether anticipates that the current and future Bitcoin holdings in its reserves will not exceed the shareholder capital cushion and will further strengthen and diversify the reserves, as reflected in Tether's Q1 2023 assurance report. As of the end of March 2023, Tether already held approximately $1.5 billion of Bitcoin in its reserves. And while it is common practice among many institutional investors, the third party to custody their Bitcoin, Tether believes in the philosophy, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. Bet you heard that one before, right? And takes possessions of the private keys associated with all of its Bitcoin holdings. Now, Tether's chief technology officer, Paolo, acknowledged the company's move on Twitter, explaining its logic. Why Bitcoin and not something else? Because Bitcoin is the epitome of a sound and secure monetary system with its decentralized nature and scarcity. Bitcoin is revolutionizing the concept of money and challenging traditional finance. Bitcoin has defied expectations. It has shattered boundaries and provides access to the global financial system to anyone with an internet connection. Preach. Now let's check out some of the responses here. As reported, they plan on investing 15% of their net operating profits into Bitcoin. So if you do the math, that equals buying $74 million worth of Bitcoin, or 2,780 Bitcoin every single month. That's 3x the amount mined per month. So Max responded off the back of that. It's just math. Tether to put a floor on the Bitcoin price. Michale Saylor is also doing a good job. He also says that the new king of Bitcoin is Tether, and that Michale Saylor had a great run, but long live the new king. And Gaber Gerbax wrote this: Max is right. If Tether was a country, it would be around the 25th largest hodler of U.S. treasuries. It is in the U.S. national interest to responsibly distribute USD-backed stablecoins internationally. When the banks failed, Tether succeeded, and Max responded to that. Tether is now the only reliable buyer of billions of U.S. treasuries. U.S. politicians do lots of stupid things, but I doubt they would try and kill the gravy train, keeping them afloat. That is Tether. And as wrote here by the CEO of Tether, transparency is king. And he announced Tether today has $2.5 billion in USD equivalent to company-owned reserves. And Max's response to this, Tether is more than 100% backed, which he has been preaching since last year, right? I covered that many times here in the show. They are one of the most profitable companies in the world and definitely the most profitable financial on earth. And they are true Bitcoiners. All of the FUD about them was brought up by scammer USDC, which is the company Circle. And I even did a show on that about, I don't know, 5 months ago of Max Keiser calling USDC a scam and saying that it's all FUD against Tether. And lo and behold, Max was right. And guess what? USDC not doing so great. Their market cap is continuing to plummet as the Tether market cap continues to climb. So I want to ask you, what is your favorite stablecoin? If you had to use one to put some of your reserves into crypto, let me know which one you'd most likely feel the most comfortable with using. And with that being shared, fam, now let's dive into our live Q&A. Welcome to each and every one of you tuning in to the live chat. I appreciate all the support. Mike M, welcome. I appreciate y'all tuning in at 1 p.m. today Eastern, as I woke up a little late, as typically we go live at 12 p.m. Del Pillar, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. Aloha to Steve Kingston. Matthew J, always a pleasure. Matt, I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate the retweet. Shout out to Max Keiser for retweeting today's show on Crypto Twitter. If you're not already following me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is Crypto News Yes, and yes, I am very active. Lawrence, good morning and welcome. Appreciate you tuning in. I know it's probably the middle of the night. You mentioned, I believe you're in Australia, but he wrote, hey fam, that Ledger, this is total BS from what I have heard. Ledger themselves also don't hold your keys. It's split into 3 parts and encrypted. Remember yesterday we were discussing there was allegedly a backdoor like security breach, allegedly, where it said, according to some of these mainstream reports, that Ledger could have that backdoor to everyone's private keys. So it set off alarms across the crypto industry. So Lawrence is ultimately saying that is nothing more than FUD. I haven't been able to confirm it either way. So you guys keep me posted and let me know. He says some people will do anything to cause a crash. So yeah, could be engineered FUD. Wouldn't be nothing new, right? Chill, welcome. Appreciate you tuning in. F1, good to see you as always. He said, Lawrence says, I'm perfectly fine with my Ledger. It's an opt-in service. I have no issue with it. It's not for the enthusiasts, just the noobs who will want to use it. Steve Kingston says agreed. F1 says to hold Bitcoin in Ledger, Trezor, even Binance and Kraken, they ain't going nowhere. We'll just keep in mind the most secure is always going to be a hardware wallet versus keeping it on the exchange, just because you can't predict what can happen to any exchange. We witnessed last year FTX collapse. It was at the time the second largest crypto exchange in the world next to Binance. It no longer exists. So a lot of people were holding their Bitcoin or precious crypto on that exchange. Now it's gone. It may not ever be recovered, you know what I mean? So that's why you got to stress extreme caution and do your research. It is what it is. You know what I mean? F1 says Max is great fun, like a lot of ex-Wall Street cokeheads. Laughing at Peter Schiff. I wrote Max is an early Bitcoin OG, and the Keiser report changed many lives, including my own. That's why I hold what Max and Stacy say so dear, and they're just so passionate. They've been around since the Genesis block. They've been recommending Bitcoin since it was $1. They're the first ones to announce it on television, and you do the math. From $1 to where we at today, just above 27,000, that's a pretty nice come up. So think of how many millionaires and lives have been changed due to the Keiser report and Max and his passion for Bitcoin and now doing what he is doing for El Salvador. I just have a lot of respect for the man. That's just me. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. I know he is very against every altcoin that is not Bitcoin, obviously, and he wants Gary to shut them down. But that's his opinion, and he has the right to believe whatever he wants. I understand the logic behind it. He doesn't want people getting burned in a lot of these ish coins, and it is very unfortunate. The majority of the altcoin market are nothing more than scams. I'm not saying every coin is a scam, but you know, kind of just is what it is. So newbies don't really know the difference sometimes between Bitcoin and frickin' Pepe, you know what I mean? Or Dogecoin and Shiba Inu compared to the real utility, you know, cryptos like the Bitcoin, the Ethereums, the Chainlinks, etc. Let me know if you guys can relate. 7 p.m. here in Budapest. I appreciate you tuning in all the way from Budapest. F1, much love and much respect. And if you're new to the channel, anyone who is new here, make sure to subscribe. If you're not subscribed, hit the bell icon, turn on all notifications so you're notified when I go live at a surprise time. Like today, I went live at 1 p.m. Just the other day, I went live at 5 p.m. So sometimes I do switch it up. So if you don't have notifications turned on, you may miss out. Lawrence says, I am lucky to make this stream by accident. I'm half asleep, 1 a.m. for me. Well, much love. I appreciate your dedication and much respect. Yeah, man, no CBDC here. Ever the Hungarians love their cash. Yeah, no one wants any CBDCs. Just say no to central bank digital currencies and note that Bitcoin is the antidote. So keep on stacking them stats. It is what it is. 5 a.m. shows are way harder. Well, I appreciate the show only being at 1 a.m. You don't got to stay up all night to catch it. Much love, much respect to Lawrence. Much respect to Max. He has many hats, says Dan Drummond. That's right. Absolutely. What up, Crypto News Alerts fam? Says J-Dub the Laker 21 million on this flight to Miami. Baby, where my Bitcoiners at? That's what's up. Enjoy the Bitcoin Miami conference. I guess it theoretically kicks off today. I know there's some events going on, but I think the main probably showing is probably going to be like Friday and Saturday, I would imagine. That's what it was last year. Have some fun out there. Is anyone else going to be in Miami? Maybe you can meet up with J-Dub. Smash that like for the homie JV. Appreciate that, fam. Maduro Sawe says, Bitcoin is the king. You already know. Digital dankness. Appreciate the support in the chat as always. Megadon says in Miami, getting ready for a good time. That's what's up. So we got J-Dub, doing his thing. Rave Elevator, let's freaking go. Good to see you, Rave. It's been a minute. Megadon sounds like a good time. Happy for you. Megadon, you pulled it already. You going Toxic Pleb Happy Hour. Hilarious. Megadon in the building. Toxic Pleb Happy Hour sold out. Oh, wow. Credit Suisse, AT1 bond failures will not pay the collateral debt swaps. Word up, hot as F in Miami. It's just as hot here in Puerto Rico. It's just that time. 55 degrees in Maine. Nice. Rave says FTX making retail investors whole will have to wait behind the IRS because they will be paid first. Isn't that some ish? So talk about investor protection. Where is it at? And this is the same company that was meeting up with Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, Mr. No Clarity Gary himself. It's sad when the IRS is getting their money before the investors. So what's the likelihood of investors receiving their funds back? Probably not looking so good, fam. But we got to remain hopeful. Hope to see Peter Schiff at Bitcoin Miami. I'm sure he'll be there, slanging some gold, doing what he does best. You know what I mean? Max is the ultimate Bitcoiner who has been calling out the banks for years, and he has been right for years. I don't think you've listened to enough old school Max Keiser vids, man. Come on. I love you brought that up because that's right. I have a very, very distaste. I despise the banks because I understand that the central banking system enslaves us. That is the matrix. J-Dub, appreciate the super chat contribution. Thank you very much. So Max has been calling out the corrupt bankers because he has kahunas. There's no one who has been calling out the corrupt bankers at the level he has been doing it for the past 10, 20 years. So you have to respect him calling out Jamie Dimon. You know what I mean? The dude behind JP Morgan Chase, calling out all the corrupt bankers, calling up all the corrupt officials like no one else's business. You know what I mean? And he's still around and he's still doing his thing. I usually share a classic Keiser, like a throwback from like whether it's 3, 5, 10, 15 years ago, every single day on crypto Twitter because I respect what he is doing. And again, there's no other influencer, especially billionaire, like of Max's stature, doing what it is he is doing, right? It just shows you his love and passion, for being pro-Bitcoin and anti-banking. And that's because he was in Wall Street. He knows the corruption firsthand, and he understands it from an intelligence level no one else can articulate as well as Max and Stacy. So some of the many reasons I support Max so much right there. Great. From Holland, greetings. Welcome, Barry. It's good to see you as always. Bitcoin Trini in the building. Welcome, welcome. Always a pleasure, fam. Peter Shitty won't pull up in Miami. Wouldn't that be something? They start throwing eggs at the dude, start throwing tomatoes. He's like, I gotta go, guys. They should put a pie in his face. Kind of like Bill Gates, that classic clip from long, long ago. Someone just throws a pie in his face and he's like, rah. I could see that happening to Peter Shifty. Peter S. would need a lot of security to visit Miami. Not like he can't afford the security. He's saving a lot on taxes. He lives out here in Puerto Rico, fam. In Dorado. Should catch up with a drink. Word up. You guys should link up. That's what's up. Proof of stake is the definition of a security. Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up. You secure the coin Back to the future. Word up. Gary Gensler will state that Ethereum is a security wholeheartedly and loudly when the SEC sues Ethereum, and not a moment before. He is not risking his case for a soundbite or someone's feelings. Great perspective, Dan. You're probably right. J-Dub says Miami vibes. That's what's up. Shout out to Miami. Today is Industry Day at Bitcoin Miami 2023. That's what's up. Thanks for letting me know. Just don't give the ledger your information and you are fine, says Mr. T. Can't trust closed source after being hacked previously too. Alex G says, I am new. Keep doing what you do. Appreciate you, Alex. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you tuning in. Mr. T says, and 3 shards are useless to someone that doesn't physically have your device. Okay. Max saving lives in El Salvador. He is a Bitcoin Jesus. Word up. Helping the mentally dead resurrect like Lazarus, right? I like that. This is a misconception. You have to opt in and physically get your seed yourself. Then it's shared into 3 sections and can only be rehashed back on your device. And a secure element, Ledger gave an opt-in $10 service from multi-sig custodial services as a backup, not your keys, not your coins, says Rave Elevator. Dan says Ledger has done 0 to earn trust and is closed source. All right, well, compared to Trezor, we know Trezor is open source. Dan is saying the Ledger is closed source. J-Dub says he lands in 3 hours. That's what's up. Are you on the plane right now watching this? How cool is that? Haven't had one HMU. That's my cell. We'll figure something out. Word up. Max is always right, says Annabelle. It seems to be that way. Tether for sure. Good to hear that. USDT. I firmly trust Tether way more than Circle or USDC. I'll be honest, I don't trust USDC or Circle whatsoever because they're a partner of the World Economic Forum. I just don't trust those type of people. You know what I mean? I trust Bitcoiners more so than anything. And guess what? Tether, USDT, they're Bitcoiners as well. Hence why they're investing their reserves into the King Crypto. They get it and they truly understand. Also, massive shout out to Samson Mao. Tether is now backed by Bitcoin, so it's a security as well, says Digital Dankness. I don't think that. Tether right now, actually, also in El Salvador, Bitcoin is a legal tender, and many don't know this, but Tether is also a legal tender. So it's like the official stable coin of choice. Let's see if it continues to play out like that in the rest of the world, as it is currently that way, being the largest by market cap. It is what it is. Good vibes. That's right. Good vibes always. Bitcoin already doing what ETH does, says Mr. T. That's the person I came to see, Max Keiser. I've met Booth, Foss, Burnell last year. Shout out to Natalie Burnell. Saylor, too, of course. Saw him at Pacific Bitcoin. That's what's up, J-Dub. Much love. Mr. T says ETH won't stay number 2 forever. It won't scale. And by the time it does, Bitcoin will have EVM, compatible layer 2s with BRC20, SRC20, and ORC20, etc. J-Dub says XRP is an ish coin. There is no second best. I guess we're quoting the one and only Giga Chad, Michael Saylor. Shout out to Saylor. Yeah, I'm on the plane watching, fam. How cool is that? Gotta love technology. We've come a long way. No, I don't want a $5 wrench attack, says Rave. Dankness says Bitcoin will always be king, but some of the alts are building on use cases. The coins that have the best use cases will make it to the finish line. I agree 100%. I believe the legitimate cryptos with legitimate use cases aren't going anywhere. But as we know, the majority of them probably aren't legit. They're just scams. Look at the meme coins, for example. They tell you there is zero utility, but why does everyone invest in them? Everyone wants to get rich quick. It's like the crypto lottery. You know what I mean? And many people do. It is what it is. But at the same token, many people get wrecked. And that's the sadness of the reality. You know what I mean? The wrench is $10 now because of the inflation rave. Word up, Bitcoin will always be king. I agree with that. Bitcoin is the king. Long live the king. You know what I mean? More coins are scam, or meme coins are scam. Yeah, it's a meme coin. But it doesn't seem like the meme coin production is slowing down. Exchanges love listing them. Want to know why? They're making so much money off of the fees. You know what I mean? We saw freaking Pepe go from virtually nothing to 1.5 billion market cap. It felt like overnight. What was it? A matter of 3 weeks or something like that. And now some of the major exchanges in the world have listed Pepe, making it that much more accessible and easy to buy. And everyone's just looking at the cute frog, you know what I mean, with the cigar in his mouth. And they're like, Yeah, I want that. And newbies in the space, they don't really know the difference between all of the coins. It's massively confusing. And they tend to just do what the influencer they're listening to tells them to do. That's why I'm very careful. I do not invest in ish coins, and I do not advise anyone to just blindly throw money at any project, but do your own due diligence and do some research. A lot of influencers are going to suggest you buy a coin. Why? They already have a bag and they want to pump it. Look at the top influencers on YouTube. I'm not even going to mention names because it's not about that, but there's someone that has 1.5 million plus followers and he's pumping ish coin after ish coin. Why is that? He's invested into ish coin and he wants to pump it to get super rich, and then they'll probably dump their bags on you, and that's just the nature of rinse and repeat. And that's the unfortunate truth of what happens in the crypto market, and many newbies don't really know any better. Maybe they sell their Bitcoin for the ish coin hoping for a quick come up, and then they get wrecked. And it repeats, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And once you've been through a couple of cycles, and Bitcoin, a full cycle is 4 years. Once you've been through an entire cycle, you start to see for what it is, because you witness it firsthand. You see a meteoric rise of these ish coins, and then they get crushed by 99%. Some of them never recover. Look at Luna, you know what I mean? Luna Classic and all that kind of stuff. Look at FTT. That was the native token of the FTX exchange, etc. It is what it is. I'd buy Crypto News Alert's family coin. Hilarious. And I loved Andrew Tate's discussing about ish coins. He made a video just the other day he released, and I definitely resonated with it. And he basically said, every influencer is scamming you, trying to sell you these ish coins. I refuse to do so. So he said he's never pumping any coins. And you got to respect that at the end of the day. Bitcoin is the standard. Mike Well, you already know, fam. Ben pumps anything, says Megadon. Bingo. Anything you can make a quick buck. It is what it is. Anyways, fam, now for a recap of what I covered with you here in today's show. I broke down the latest technical analysis. We also discussed there is a natural synergy between Bitcoin builders and proof of stake, according to that professor from the university, which was very interesting. We also discussed Grayscale and Bitwise distancing themselves from Ether futures ETF plans, as regulators are hinting towards Ethereum being a security. We also discussed the billionaire legendary investor Paul Tudor Jones says he is sticking with the King Crypto and calls Bitcoin his longest bet. We also discuss Bitcoin alone deserves non-security status, as Max Keiser, backing the SEC chairman's view. No clarity, Gary. We also discuss billions of dollars to flow into the King Crypto, as Tether announces up to 15% of their profits will go into BTC. But where do you feel the Bitcoin price is likely to go next? Let me know in the comments right down below.